Gaslight Baker Theater. I'm coming back to you again today to read chapter 11 of the original adventures of Hank the Cowdog. I've been going through them since near the beginning of the quarantine time. So if you'd like to go back and check them out, they're all up there posted for you here on Facebook and YouTube. If you'd like more information about Hank, of course, you can look in the comment section or up above in the posting area there, depending on what you're looking on. And you can go to the websites that are listed there to get more information. Fun stuff. Obviously, these are difficult times for everybody. If you're watching this with your kids or whatever, and you've got a little extra money that you could send our way and you're feeling good about it, please do. Of course, we're doing all this for free or whatever, but we are, just like everybody else, trying to make ends meet through this difficult time. We're looking forward to having our doors open and having everybody back in. And it won't be too much longer. In any case, I'm going to get started reading here. So, chapter 11, The Attack on the Ranch. Along about dark, the Coyote village came to life. Everybody was excited. Fresh chicken, fresh cat, they shouted. Oh boy! Even the kids were excited. They chased each other around, practiced howling, played a game called Get the Dog. The idea of the game was that two kids played coyotes and one played the guard dog, and the coyotes lured the dog out into a fight and then jumped him. I'd played that game myself, only when I'd played it hadn't been a game and I'd been on the dog side. Never thought it was much fun either. After the sun went down, Scraunch climbed up on a pile of rocks and gave a speech to the whole village. He was a firebrand and a rubble-rouser, and he preached the kind of hot gospel them coyotes wanted to hear. Jackrabbits run too fast, make coyote tired to catch. Mouse run down hole, coyote have to dig, make tired too. But chicken, oh, chicken easy, chicken nice and fat, sit on desk, not fight. Chicken plump and juicy. This night, everybody eat chicken. Cheer went up from the crowd. I was standing beside Missy, and she whooped and hollered along with the rest of them. Scraunch waited for the cheering to die down and glanced over at me. Ranch not have big guard dog now. Only little white dog with cut off tail. Maybe this night we kill dog too. Another cheer went up. Scraunch watched me with a half smile on his face. When I didn't cheer with the rest of them, he said, What you say, hunk? Maybe you help kill little white dog, huh? Maybe so, Scraunch. Maybe so. Then he led the crowd in singing Me Just a Worthless Coyote, which was everybody's favorite song and sort of the Coyote national anthem. I noticed that it brought tears to old Chief Gut's eyes. Guess it brought back memories of his younger days. When the song started, Rip and Snort came over to where I was and wanted to harmonize just the way we did the night we was carousing. I tried, but I didn't feel much like singing. But Rip and Snort bellered and had themselves a big old time. Woo! They were all excited about the raid, and they got into an argument over which one of them was going to give Drover the worst whipping. Listening to them snarl at each other, I got a funny feeling about good old boys. Good old boys have a way of changing into mean old boys, and pretty quick. The singing stopped, and it was time to start the raid. Scrounch had led the whole village in a howl, and those of us who was going in the raid lined up in a single line. Missy came over to tell me goodbye. Hunk have good fight, bring back fat chicken, prove to everybody that he good coyote. Thanks, Missy. I'll do my best. Then we marry, have 7, 8 little pups, 7 or 8. She gave a yip and a howl. Maybe 9, 10. Oh, boy. She nuzzled me under the chin, stepped back, and gave me a smile. Jeez, she had a pretty face, but you know what? When she smiled, I saw her mother's face, and I remembered that aged mutton. It darn near ruined the occasion for me. Scraunch came down the line, checking things out and giving orders to the men, and when he came to me, he gave me a hard look. Better not make mistake. Scraunch watch close. You do that, Scraunch. You might learn something. He gave me a sneer and went back to the front. With the rest of the village cheering, we marched down the canyon rim in a trot. Once we left the village, Scraunch passed the order for silence. Down in the valley, we got on a cow trail and followed it south toward the creek. I couldn't help wondering where Drover was and what he was doing right now. Had he heard the singing? Did he run to the machine shed, or was he out on patrol? I hoped, for his sake, that he was in the backest corner of the shed, because these coyotes were in a dangerous mood. As we slipped along through the night, I started putting a few things together. It was pretty clear by this time that Scraunch was the one who had been responsible for the chicken murders. He'd been slipping down there by himself and killing one or two a night. And now he decided to launch a full-scale invasion and share the spoils of war with the rest of the coyotes. Funny, I'd solved the case. Only now I was working for the other side. Life sure does play tricks on a guy. Makes it awful hard to plan for the future. Growing up, I never would have dreamed that I'd end up a chicken killer. I was kind of glad Ma wasn't around to see it. About 200 yards north of the ranch, Scraunch called a halt and gave the final orders for the attack. He told Rip and Snort to circle around and come in from the south, and he sent another couple of guys over to the west. He hadn't given me any orders, and that was good. I figured I could lay low, stay out of the way, and show up when all the dust cleared. You, I looked around, huh? You go with Scraunch. We get little white dog. Find out how bad you want sister. Well, surely I don't deserve such an honor. Not talk, only fight. The others left, and me and Scraunch started sneaking toward the ranch. I felt sick. Things had just gotten out of control. I hadn't wanted it to happen this way. Me against my old buddy Drover. In his own bungling way, Drover was a nice dog. We'd had our squabbles and differences, but we'd had some good times too. About 25 yards out, Scraunch stopped and dropped down into the grass. I squinted into the darkness, and I saw Drover standing beside the northeast corner of the machine shed. Just as you might expect, he wasn't looking in our direction. The little runt had no idea what was fixing to break loose. A laugh growled in Scraunch's throat. This easy. Dog stupid. I couldn't argue with him. Facts is facts. We crawled for another 10, 15 yards. Then off to the south, Rip and Snort raised a howl. Drover jumped up in the air and faced south. I could see then that he was shivering. And the boys off to the west raised another howl, and Drover faced that direction. Scraunch growled, and Drover faced us. His head was cocked sideways, and one ear stood up. Now that meant he still didn't see us. But he was beginning to get the picture. The ranch was surrounded. I kept waiting for him to run, but he didn't. Scraunch pushed himself up out of the grass. You go first. I watch. Who, me? Well, it seems to me the hair went up on the back of his neck, and there was murder in those yellow eyes. You go first, or I cut throat right here. I could tell he wasn't kidding. I just thought there's no need to... I see what you mean, yes. I'll go first. I stood up. Scraunch threw back his head and let loose the bloodiest howl I'd ever heard. Sent shivers all the way down to the end of my tail, how frightful it was. He gave me a shove, and the attack was on. Drover heard us coming. He started yipping and jumping up and down, but he stood his ground. I could hear myself talking. Run, Drover, while there's still time. My voice got louder. You got no chance, Drover. Don't try to be a hero. Next thing I knew, I was yelling, Drover, run for the shed. You're outnumbered. They'll kill you. Run for your life. The little mutt was so scared, he was spinning in circles and jumping up and down at the same time, but he still didn't leave his post. By this time, I could see Rip and Snort sneaking up behind him, the moonlight glinting off their teeth and eyes. They didn't look like good old boys anymore. They had murder on their minds. Behind me, Scraunch was screaming, kill, kill. All at once, something snapped in my head. I felt wild and crazy. I headed straight for Drover. I'll never forget the look in his eyes. He was more scared. He was more than scared. He was bewildered. He didn't know what was happening to him. He turned to face my charge. As I flew past him and took aim for a snort, I yelled, "This is it, son! Hell against Texas! Fight for your life!" I caught Snort by surprise and sent him rolling down the hill. And that gave me just enough time to catch Rip as he was making a dive for the back of Drover's neck, hit him in midair, and knocked him on his back. By this time, Scraunch had plowed Drover under and was standing on top of him, ready to tear out his throat. I lit right in the middle of his back, got a bite out on his right ear, and started chewing. Well, that took his mind off Drover. He jumped straight up, pitched me off. I got to my feet, and he got to his feet, and we faced each other. "Call off your boy, Scraunch. Let's make it me and you, one-on-one." He grinned. "Chicken dog, die for this." I had a little piece of his ear in my mouth, and I spit it out at his feet. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a light come on in the house. That was my only hope. If High Loper didn't hurry and get his pants on and grab his gun, I was a dead dog. "Seems you lost a piece of one ear, Scraunch. If you come a little closer, I'll work on that other one so's they'll match." Scraunch cut his eyes toward Rip and Snort. "Get it." Rip and Snort gave me kind of a mournful look. It was decision time. They had to choose between an old drinking buddy and their own flesh and blood. "Get him." They licked their lips and swallowed and glanced at each other, and they chose flesh and blood. They started creeping towards me. "Drover," I said in a low voice, "keep him off my back, son, or we're finished." Drover squeaked. He was too scared to talk. Rip and Snort and the other two coyotes started closing in on me. "Hog, stupid dog," said Scraunch. "Stupid dog pay with life." "You could be right, Scraunch, but you gotta do it." We was totally surrounded, and it was every man for himself. I figured I might as well leave this old life with another piece of Scraunch's ear, so I made a dive at him. We collided and went up on our hind legs. I boxed him across the nose, and he boxed me right back. Made my eyes water. I clawed his hip, and he clawed mine. I went for his ear, and he went for mine. We chewed and snapped and snarled and growled. I think old Scraunch was a little surprised that a Cowdog could give him such a tussle. I was holding my own until they jumped me from behind. 2 or 3 of them. Didn't get a good count, but it was plenty enough to finish me off. They wrestled me down, throwed me on my back, and pinned me to the ground. Scraunch walked up, straddled me, showing his big, sharp teeth. "Now you die." He went for my throat, and I heard St. Peter blow his horn.